Listen, when we're talking about Arman Tsarukyan, we're looking at someone who doesn't just compete. This guy walks in with everything you need: the raw athleticism, the surgical precision that breaks down opponents piece by piece, and honestly just the complete mixed martial arts toolkit. But what really separates him from everyone else is that unshakable mindset, that bulletproof confidence that makes him walk into any fight believing he can beat anybody on the planet. Remember when he took down Justin Gaethje in that massive statement win, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you, that performance said everything it needed to say about where he stands.
Either Justin Gaethje or Paddy Pimblett for the interim champion, but he didn't choose him. They chose Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. Justin Gaethje beat Paddy Pimblett, so by law, according to the Westland Gangster at RCW 3 10 16 12 4, the interim champion should be fighting Ilia Topuria next, and that's the fight that needs to happen. And then after that,
picture this scenario. Arman Tsarukyan walks into that octagon against whoever emerges victorious from that explosive showdown between Justin Gaethje and Ilia Topuria. This guy is convinced down to his core that he possesses the perfect formula, the exact blueprint to not just survive but completely dominate the elite level of this game. He's not crossing his fingers and hoping for the best. He's making bold predictions about his own future.
Раз, повернулся. Сумасшедшая прокачка пресса. Новое дело.
Я как-нибудь другой раз попробую.
Я с турником на «вы». Уважение. Да. Вот отжимание получше.
boom, he puts his arm in. Here, boom, 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 and then whap. You can do that, can't?
No?
Yes, for the right training program, we get you right where you need to be.
Yeah.
Okay. You want some water?
No, brother, I just started.
Okay. 40, okay? Give me some respect. Give
Ian, is he the hottest guy right now? I don't see anybody controlling the media as well as Tsarukyan.
So Tsarukyan keeps making waves and generating all this buzz. You know how this fight game works, right? There's all the noise, the massive headlines, the deafening roar of excitement around someone like Arman Tsarukyan, and you could think, well, maybe that's just smart promotion, or maybe he's developed this slick marketable image with all the theatrics. But what you're really seeing underneath all that is someone who's carefully building up massive expectations, creating this incredible pressure cooker situation for himself. Because that cage, that ruthless octagon, it doesn't give a damn about your social media presence or how good you look during interviews. That space is a cold, merciless test, a real battlefield of wills. When those doors lock, everything else just disappears.
Man, this guy's eating. It looks fun. It looks really fun. But Tsarukyan has now made headlines. Tsarukyan works with Coach Cal. That's a piece of the story, because Tsarukyan came out yesterday and said, I'm the #1 contender. I am.
So here's the million-dollar question hanging over all this chaos he's deliberately stirred up. Is he going to back up every single bold statement with authentic, undeniable violence? Because that's the ultimate measuring stick, the final separator between someone who burns bright for a moment and someone who builds a lasting dynasty at the summit. Everything comes down to matching actions with words.
Win fights, they conquer narratives.
They become real. Like if somebody took him up on that offer, if Volkanovski or Lopez calls him out and says, you're next, and the UFC goes for him, and I'm just sharing for you, like, once it's said, it becomes a thing. And so he laid out as part of his statement, right? And one of the reasons I think he is serious is because he
Look, you're completely misreading what Arman Tsarukyan is actually saying here. This isn't him throwing out casual suggestions or friendly recommendations. What he's really doing cuts much deeper than that. He's literally willing his destiny into existence. When he mentions dropping to 155 or moving to 145 pounds, get this straight in your head. This isn't just some backup plan he's mulling over. This is a bold gauntlet thrown down to the entire mixed martial arts universe. He spoke it into reality, and now everything is responding.
breaks everything down and calories in, calories out, and monitors your workouts. I'm just sharing for you that. What do you think of that? I mean, this kind of went wild online. My own phone was getting
Others might just hear his words as requests, but anyone paying real attention recognizes something else entirely. They recognize someone prepared to demolish whatever stands in his way, regardless of weight class or circumstances. This transcends basic fight intelligence, the tactical awareness. This is the raw, uncompromising heart of a warrior completely exposed. But burn this into your memory, truly absorb it. This is how a real champion thinks before they even get the belt.
Lopez has his hands full with Volkanovski. I'm just sharing with you, when you go out and you make some claim like I'm going to drop to a different weight class and I'm going to fight for a title. Okay, great. Can you get a headline? Is that something that people believe and that people are interested in? Check and check. He had those boxes. A next step, but it's a much higher step, is to get the guy with the belt or the guy.
This right here isn't just hot air, friends. Not one word of it. This is Arman Tsarukyan straight up telling you that he's not sitting around dreaming about getting back to the top, keeping his fingers crossed and waiting for luck. Instead, he's aggressively constructing that ascent one brutal building block at a time, driven by this laser-focused mission, and let me hammer this cold reality into your skull. Those basic numbers, the records, the statistics on paper, they might paint you one picture, but they absolutely cannot capture the pure savagery, the relentless determination required to stare down an impossible mountain of opposition. This is exactly where a fighter's spirit takes over, when their tactical intelligence merges perfectly with unstoppable willpower. You need both pieces, the mental game and the warrior heart, working together if you want to emerge as a winner in this merciless battlefield.
Simple things to think. Like, wow, Tsarukyan. And it's really fun to take a guy and put him in a different weight class. And you can go either way. You can move him up, you can move him down. It's a really fun thing.
All this commotion Tsarukyan is stirring up, this goes way beyond some athlete running his mouth for publicity. This represents a brilliantly calculated assault on the entire lightweight hierarchy. He's not just conditioning his body for battle, he's intensely programming his mind to create the exact fights he wants, to manufacture the chances he needs. That's pure fight genius right there. This warrior weaponizes his own hunger. But understand this brutal reality, something most people are overlooking. A genuine champion never sits around hoping opportunity will come knocking at his door. Hell no. A champion builds it from scratch. He doesn't just call out an opponent. He creates such overwhelming momentum, such incredible demand that the promotion has no choice, absolutely zero choice, but to hand him that title shot. Tsarukyan isn't just getting his body ready for war, he's gone into full takeover mode for his whole career trajectory. Lock that concept in your brain immediately.
On what you think about that, because in many ways, does it solve a problem? Sure it does. We acknowledge in this sport Arman is the number one contender. We acknowledge in the sport that Arman should be fighting for a world title. So how are we going to do it? I'll just move down to 145. Well, but we also acknowledge that Lerone Murphy should be fighting for a title. We acknowledge that
You think the divisions are jammed? You're missing the point.
Those rumors you're picking up on, right? Rumors about him switching weight classes, about him grabbing all this spotlight. Get this through your head right now. That's way more than background chatter. That represents a calculated, perfectly clear warning of coming warfare. Arman Tsarukyan isn't politely asking for a shot or humbly requesting consideration. No way, he's strategically lighting a fuse, an explosion so powerful that it's forcing the champion to acknowledge him, to meet him in what's guaranteed to be a career-defining war.
Should be fighting for a title. So as jammed up as they are at 55 with 3 potential options, if Arman goes to 45, now they're jammed up with 3 potential options. I'm just wondering, like, what do you think about that? Do you believe that a bigger guy in Arman, do you believe if he cuts down, he therefore takes precedent? Do you believe that? Because when Ilia Topuria, who wasn't just the...
That passive approach might work for newcomers, for people who still don't understand how this business operates. Real fight intelligence, the signature of a genuine master, means actively manufacturing those chances, bending circumstances to your will.
That's the comeback you're about to witness.
That just said, hey, listen, you haven't proved yourself here yet. Khabib himself said, we're not going to fight him. You're speaking for Islam. This is before Islam had left the way. He said, we're not going to fight this guy. Come and do something at 55. Do anything, but do it at 55, then call me. So what do you think? We're putting everything in reverse. Like yesterday when Arman said it, this got a great reception. Everybody loved it. Ariel loved it. I loved it. James Madison loved it. I mean, I'm just sharing.
Forget the noise, forget the callouts. The octagon doesn't respect your mouth, it respects your proof at 155. You think you can just skip the line in the lightweight division?
And this is what separates someone hoping for a shot from a true champion. It goes beyond just collecting victories. It's that iron discipline, the rock-solid commitment to dominate your own thoughts, to defeat yourself first before you even enter that cage to face your enemy. That internal victory means everything.
But he's now created another dialogue. So the way this works is we've got to exhaust all options. And I like Arman's approach, by the way, if you want me to critique it.
Get this undisputable truth locked in your head right now. Tsarukyan isn't just another lightweight prospect hanging around. He represents a genuine problem, and not only for his competition. No, he's a threat to the entire division's power structure, to the established order of the sport. Talking about dropping to 145 pounds? That's not some basic tactical decision you can sketch out on paper. It's a complete promotional earthquake, a masterclass in disrupting and controlling the conversation.
I want to fight for a championship. I've never liked that approach more than a specific guy. Than a specific, put your finger in the chest of Ilia Topuria. Oh, by the way, he happens to be champion. It happens to also be a championship opportunity. Boy, I hadn't even really thought of that. I just want to fight him. I find that personal grudge approach to be stronger, but Arman's in a unique...
This is the raw, unfiltered reality that too many of you are completely missing. Contenders typically sit patiently and wait for their moment to arrive. But champions, real champions, they ruthlessly seize them. When you witness Arman Tsarukyan in that primal, absolutely savage training mode preparing for his resurgence, get this straight, that's not someone politely waiting for permission to compete. Oh hell no, that's someone aggressively forging his own path to greatness, one punishing session at a time. His comeback isn't about simply stringing together some wins here and there. It's about completely demolishing every barrier, every roadblock, every challenge standing between him and what he knows belongs to him. This isn't about having multiple options or backup plans. This for him is purely and completely non-negotiable.
Social media than Ilia Topuria, just by example. I feel like this guy's red hot. He stumbled into something, by the way, with this feast.
Okay, pay attention. Ignore the trivial. Bottom line from the man himself, Arman Tsarukyan isn't just making noise here, and when you study contenders, really break them down, you discover they're often this dangerous tsunami of killers, this perfectly forged raging firestorm just waiting to detonate.
Jam at 155, fine, I'll just go to 45 and fight for the belt. And I don't know how much he meant it.
But here's what makes it fascinating. It's not simply a fight, it's a brutal examination, and this is the honest, unvarnished reality when you're dealing with authentic champions. They don't run from these moments. They absolutely hunger for these kinds of savage showdowns, the type that expose who was never really championship material anyway. It's time to rise to your own moment, confront your own defining test. It's a question that strikes at the core of combat sports. It's about who truly deserves what. But let me tell you something deeply significant about Arman Tsarukyan. He doesn't just chase weight classes, he systematically destroys barriers, like he actively hunts them down. This isn't merely about hitting a number on the scale, meeting some weight requirement. This is about someone completely locked into combat mode, determined enough to adapt, to demonstrate that a tougher cut or a new division to dominate, rather than being intimidating, actually represents an exciting obstacle for someone like Tsarukyan. He feeds off it. He's creating a reality so completely undeniable, a showcase so overwhelming that he's going to force this entire sport, every fan and analyst, to acknowledge it whether they like it or not. Arman Tsarukyan, you can absolutely count on it, is burning that reality into his DNA, right? He's absorbing it, making it part of his essence. Every training session endured, every drop of blood spilled before that championship opportunity, every agonizing moment of preparation, that's not just getting ready, that's a warrior systematically transforming himself into a winner. Arman isn't simply getting ready for another fight, he's building an airtight argument for why he deserves to hold gold, one excruciating step at a time, eliminating any possible question. That, my friends, represents the authentic champion mentality, not just fighting to succeed, but completely earning your position in this sport. He's hunting for the absolute elite, and his triumphant return to the summit, they're not searching for some mythical treasure at the end of a fairy tale. They're targeting a person, the king of the weight class, whoever's wearing that belt. That's the ultimate goal. Your average contender fights for a chance, desperately competing for a possibility. The champion, though, fights to brutally establish dominance over that specific individual, that exact right to rule. Arman's war mode isn't really about shiny hardware, it's about delivering an unmistakable message, one that echoes through the entire division. That unsettling composure isn't indifference. No, that represents the measured approach of the ultimate hunter. Real champions don't scramble after gold in some desperate chase. They stalk fighters, they crave the collision, they want to rip the belt away by force. They need to watch their target completely and utterly destroyed. Arman Tsarukyan isn't playing games here. He's launching an all-out assault on the very idea of anyone blocking his path. That disturbing, I don't give a damn energy. That's the fuel of a fighter rebuilding himself from scratch. Because when someone stops worrying about surface-level results and only focuses on destroying what's in front of him, that's when you see him at his most lethal, most terrifying peak. He's preparing to become an unstoppable force. He's shifted into complete war mode, and you better understand it means absolute unforgiving destruction. His willingness to fight in 2 divisions? This isn't some respectful request for a title opportunity. It's a cold, calculated statement from someone who sees every belt as rightfully his. He's completely committed to pushing himself to the breaking point, to survive any punishment, any path to championship gold, and that, trust me, isn't desperation. That's the raw animal instinct of a genuine predator, that merciless, unbreakable determination to put his body through the pure hell of extreme weight cutting for any route to the title. That's what separates good from legendary right there, the defining line between levels. It's a statement that roars, I have the ultimate fighting mind, a warrior spirit that won't be denied by any obstacle or any challenge you can imagine. He's not sitting around waiting for doors to open. He's getting ready to kick them down, to forge his own way. He's prepared to drop to 145 pounds and fight for that championship. That's not just making an adjustment. He's already carefully studying the landscape, running the numbers, and planning nothing short of complete domination. When you, the average fan, think that's just some random announcement, you're dead wrong. That's a champion psychology, blazing with this incredible intensity, this unstoppable flame that burns through everything in its path. A real warrior doesn't just choose his direction, he commands his championship destiny, he creates it, he wills it into existence. Here's the harsh truth, the reality you can't escape. Real champions don't just want some trophy or fancy piece of metal for their collection. No, this runs deeper. It's the primal roar of an apex predator claiming its territory. And this strategy, the quiet assurance, that represents psychological warfare at its finest. He's not desperately reaching for the belt, he's making it reach for him.
Doing a great job. He's in front of the media. But, and there is a but, I've never liked the idea of